Right, this week on the Paddock, delighted to be joined by Chris Hughes, my old sparring partner in the social stable, with us on ITV and now doing wonderful things, well, all over the world, really. Winter Olympics, I saw you at briefly.
That was good.
That took a lot of bottle, that, down the luge.
Skeleton and bottle. I think more people asked me this time at the Cheltenham Festival about, what was it like to do the skeleton and the bobsleigh, as opposed to anything about horses related. So, yeah, it was an experience, one I probably won't do again.
Was it terrifying?
Yeah, it was terrifying. I said to everyone, it's so much easier and less petrifying riding a 2-year-old racehorse than it is doing the skeleton or the bobsleigh. I would much rather be on a rowdy 2-year-old.
I'm either.
It would have a good
Yeah. But no, it was cool. Yeah, good little gig.
It was great. You did it brilliantly, as always. You are probably, I think it's fair to say, a more qualified horseman than Rishi, Tom and I, so can't wait to pick your brains about all things racing, so let's crack on.
There was an opportunity to buy a horse with Dylan, so I thought, okay, we will. And we got this lovely grey horse called Clough. Bought him as a 2-year-old in February of 2024.
You do a great impression of Chris, don't you?
I think I do. He doesn't do that.
He does a terrible.
He'll be watching the races and he thinks the horses can hear him and they go, come on, hop it come. How do you do the click that you do?
I mean, like when they approach your bench, yeah.
Take us back to the very start then. How did this all come about, your love of racing?
I think when I grew up, I went to nursery, so I was in a very young age. I went to nursery with Sam Twiston-Davies and primary school with him as well, and then secondary school. But in my secondary school, there were so many of us who become jockeys. I say I never became a jockey. I was about to say we became jockeys. I didn't become a jockey. I got too tall and a bit too heavy. But yeah, we had Sam Twiston-Davies. We had obviously his brother Willie. We had Tom Bellamy. We had his brother as well, Archie. We've got the Jonathan and David England, Nick Slatter. It was so many people who went on and like their full-time job was working at racing. So I think having that natural kind of transition into the sport by the people you were surrounded by from a young age helped. My dad co-owned racehorses with John Joe growing up, so when I was younger I could kind of keep an eye on certain horses, and a nice horse he was involved with at the time was a horse, I think it was Henry Oliver trained it, called Tom's Prize, who ran in the Hennessy at the time. And I think just having those people around you who I was close friends with made me go, okay, I want to ride a horse. So I started riding when I was about 8 years old. Went to Pony Club with the North Cotswolds. You obviously build friendships there. It's kind of like any sports team you associate yourself with at a young age. That's where a lot of friendship circles develop from. And yeah, from there I just loved racing. I rode my first racehorse when I was 12. That was Earth Summit. Obviously 98. Yeah, well, he was retired then. So it was like he obviously 98 Grand National winner, but he was looked after by a lady called Marcella Bayliss. So my 2 ponies I had growing up were kept at a point-to-point yard, which was her yard in Naunton, where Nigel Twiston-Davies trained. So about a mile down the road from where Nigel trained. And she used to look after pointers, and my 2 ponies were there. So like one of the treats were to sit on Earth Summit. And I did that when I was a baby. And when I say a baby, I was 12, 13, 14 years old. And he was just he was a big softie. But he was a very friendly horse. He'd been there, done that. And he was enjoying just having a little hack in his retirement. And that was it, really. I kind of like the sport grabbed me from there. I loved being a kid. I loved being like 13, 14 years old. That was when I think racing, so this is going back, we're talking like 17 years ago. Racing then was unbelievable. The names in racing, the racehorses you used to get. I remember all the Cheltenham festivals. I haven't missed a Cheltenham festival since I was 12 years old. So I would skive off school. I'd have a day off school and Dad would take me and whatever. And just those horses I grew up with and the jockeys, I wanted to be there.
Who were the horses and jockeys?
Well, Ingles Drever was one of my favourites. Wow. So when we talk about races like that, like you look at like the renewal of like the Stayers Hurdle this time, it's just not the race, and it's not the race it used to be. And there's no I was looking at that, and you look at the horses of past who've won races like that, and you've got like your big bucks and your barracudas, like they were 160 horses. 160 rated horses would come second in races like those, and now it's like it hasn't got that depth. But that was what was so intriguing I found about. I really enjoyed this year's festival. Well, I know we'll probably talk about it, but like the depth of the races, it was very competitive. But like looking back on recent years, that was because you haven't got like those horses in certain races which you go, okay, this is the one to beat.
Yeah,
Like, there was a lot of races where it's like anything could beat anything, but just having those horses, growing up with those horses, like it was insane. I loved it. I wanted to be a jockey. So when I was riding my ponies growing up, I was used to short my stirrups as short as they go. And it wasn't obviously a racing saddle. We used to like botch it up as much as you could. You just wanted to be a jockey. And I used to love that. Anytime I canter, it was like, it's like when you go karting. We still do it as adults. No one can tell me you don't. You kind of in your head, you do a bit of commentary. You think you're in the form.
Think you're Lewis Hamilton.
You do all of that.
You do.
And you commentate in your head. And we do that at our grand old ages. Yeah,
I do that on the A404. And I'm not joking. Every now and again, you're in the car. And you're like, I have him.
Yeah, but that's
him
what
off
I
the
mean.
lights, yeah.
And that's
safe.
just part and parcel of, I think that's just being boys, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But I used to do that with, like, the ponies I used to ride, and I was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna, like, you'd fly over a log a foot high, and it'd be like you would jump at the final hurdle at Cheltenham. I used to, yeah, love
Could you not have been a jockey? Like, you're not that, you're not that tall. You're not like 6'8", are you?
Well, no, I rode in a charity race, and that was probably the lightest I got as an adult. Like, I had to, I was like nearly 2 stone lighter when I rode in that charity race to what I am now. I can't shake this muscle. I'm trying to like lean up.
Muscle, please. Come on.
We get
I love it.
Sorry.
The amount of times I
shake this
haven't said
muscle.
that, I just can't shake the muscle.
Yeah.
Just
Most
like-
people say
I can't
fat.
urinate.
Yeah.
He said,
No, but I'm like, muscle weighs a fortune. So I don't think I could. I think I'd be one of those who just struggled with weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know how you feel.
And it's tough. It's tough, but I love food as well.
And the older you get, it's just,
But even for the charity race, you still have to lose a lot of weight to ride.
Well, I had
you,
to.
you did one.
I did, yeah.
And if I did the Macmillan one, you did the one at
I
Cheltenham.
did one at Cheltenham.
Yeah, one of the Cheltenham ones.
I was 11.2 on the day of the race. You had to get down to about
See, that's-
11.7.
11.7. So I got
Yeah.
down to 11.7, thank God. And I actually had to employ someone, swear to God. A week leading up, I had to employ someone who could help me like properly, like we need to shed a bit of weight here. And I had to lose like 3 or 4 pounds. And I can't just do what the jockeys can do. My body's not susceptible to just sweating and losing weight that quickly. But if we didn't, even in a charity race, they do declare you overweight. They will declare you overweight if you are, because there's still betting involved.
There's a trainer in Hong Kong now called David Eustace who went out to ride in an amateur race, and he always tells this story. He was riding for his father James, and he's walking out with all his mates. It was an actual amateur race. It wasn't a charity race. And as he's walking out to all the owners that are there, they go, and putting up 3 pounds overweight, Mr. David Eustace. And he looks at it, he goes, don't worry, I'm 3 pounds better than this. He came last.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, he
Bless
backed
it.
it up for a brief time.
Because
Yeah.
I'd come in underweight, the valet said to me, he goes, you don't want to carry all the extra lead in, so you're going to have to eat and drink something. So I'd been starving myself and not having anything sweet to lose weight, because obviously I love stuff like that. So he said, here's a Mars bar, here's a can of Coke, and get something else to eat.
Get some energy.
Yeah. So I had a Mars bar, a can of Coke, having not had any sugar for months in the lead up to the race, and having been so nervous. By the time I got in the paddock, I was absolutely buzzing. I was like, come on, let's get this
But
going.
that's good though, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
Should have done the girth tighter, but other than
Yeah, I was going to say your saddle
I
slipped.
didn't pay attention to that. I wouldn't worry about that.
God, yeah, your saddle slipped.
That would have been like doing a
Can I just
bobsleigh.
say though, that's brutal because you're riding in a charity race, right? You don't ride out every day. You don't get the opportunity to ride in races like the jockeys do. If a saddle slips for a jockey, we saw it this year, didn't it? One slip forward in one of the races.
yeah. He was on the outside.
Which is
just beat
brutal.
Elliot
That was an amateur race, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
I think
that
it
is
was.
brutal because that's like you don't get many opportunities, right?
Yeah.
But if your saddle slips and you're a professional jockey, you ride every day, you can deal
Sure
with it.
enough,
But
yeah.
for you've like trained that whole time up into that race, and then your saddle goes.
Yeah, 2 months. And then
That's so brutal.
Yeah, you
But
feel the fear
it's kind of
came from-
it's kind of funny it happened to you.
with people being really nice afterwards, going, "Oh, well done for holding on," and all this sort of stuff. And I didn't say anything to anybody. I just said thank you, but I just did not want to jump off because I was thinking I could. The safest thing might be to jump off, and I thought that might really hurt. So I'm going to stay on and hope for the best, out of fear more than anything else.
Yeah.
And everyone's going, "Oh, well done for staying on." I was thinking, I took the easy option.
Yeah.
Don't tell them that though.
No.
Yeah, but it's like it's a weird one. Like you can ride in those charity races and stuff, and it sounds so stupid, but it's so easy to forget to breathe when you're on a race.
Yeah.
And it's like you can play other sports, and it's like, you
Yeah.
get that kind of anxiousness and you don't breathe.
Yeah.
I remember because Dominic Ellsworth was my sort of like jockey coach leading up into that. And he said the first time he ever rode like under rules, he got off the horse at the end and he basically fell on the floor. Like he completely forgot to breathe. the whole
I did
race.
I did a white collar fight boxing, like amateur, whatever, not even amateur, it's just sort of, and I forgot to breathe in it. And you're basically holding your breath for 6 minutes.
Making your...
And at the end, I was so tired, I asked him to stop hitting me. Because I didn't breathe. I was like, please stop. I can't breathe. I'm knackered.
Human punch bag.
Yeah, I was. And like, you know, but you tense up, don't you, in those moments? But in saying all that, and you'll know from training for the charity race, and you know, because you still ride out, right? Like riding a racehorse, I always look at the lads and lasses riding out in the morning, beautiful summer's morning, spring morning, whatever. There's probably no feeling quite like it.
It's the best. Oh, it's the best. It's because you could have rode 2 lots by 8 o'clock in the morning, right? And you've got the whole day ahead, but you feel like you've really achieved something. Like it's a ridiculous, and I feel like a cowboy when I've rode. That's what, when I'm riding a racehorse, I always say this, like you forget all your worries. Like mentally, it's one of the most stimulatingly good things you can do. But you afterwards, it's like you've had that morning with the horse, and it's like I do feel like a cowboy when I'm on a racehorse and you're going, 35, 40 mile an hour. It's a great feat. It's such a good feeling.
But it's that connection with the horse, very briefly, that you're in sync with it. You're in sync with another being, like this massive beast, which could do all sorts of things.
Yeah, literally.
But you've managed to be kind to you for like 5-10 minutes, whatever you've been on that horse, and that is the most rewarding thing.
But that's why we bond with the animals as well, and that's why all like the stable lads and lasses who work in yards and people who look after them. That's why they have that bond, and like you get that close association with racehorses, because they're so special, and they literally become like family. Like they part, like when you lose one, like, oh my God, it's like, I remember when I went to school one day, but I knew my pony was being put down. She was old age, she had so many things wrong with her. And I went to school as like a 14-year-old, and I was absolutely heartbroken. Like I knew I wasn't coming home to my horse because she was being put down that day, or pony. And it was like, I'm brutal. It's like, it's literally like losing a family member, because they give you so much. They give you like, they stimulate you so much every day that they give you more than family members a lot of times.
I think it's something to do with this. There's something about a half-ton animal like that where, and it's not just, I've ridden very few horses, but just being around them, having quiet moments with a horse, the sound of their breath, the sound that they make. They're great listeners. Like there's something about that connection, and I wonder if it is just to do with how still they can be and the size of them, which is incredibly special. You'll have seen it with National Racehorse Week that you work on, which has been a great success. And not just people coming into yards, but the charitable organisation that National Racehorse Week works with. Those moments. You see a child seeing a racehorse for the first time,
isn't it?
Or they've taken racehorses into old people's homes, and
that's incredible.
Like,
and how much that's one of the best things they did with National Racehorse.
People just come. It's breathtaking, and it's there is such a therapeutic value to a horse and a racehorse.
Yeah, and that lifts the mood. You say that like with the old people's homes, just taking like an ex-racehorse in there who is like nice and calm and collected, like. The racehorses are clever. Like they're not just animals who just do this kind of thing. Like they sense every emotion out of like a human being. That's why when you go up, like you say to people when they're going up to like stroke racehorses, like, be confident, because if you have got one which is a bit like, it could like want to nip and like get you a little bit, like they sense fear so quickly. So we kind of like, you always get different racehorses in yards that want to like have a little bite. I've got one in training in the middle. I own one racehorse and he's a biter. But he's only going to bite you if you're kind of a bit shy around. If you go in there and be like rough and have a little play with him, he's good as gold. And that's what they are. They're very clever animals. But yeah, you're right. That National Racehorse Week, to kind of see like the soft sentiment of the animals and how much they can cheer people up, that's why we love them.
New Beginnings, a charity up north, there's a lot of them, but New Beginnings do amazing work. Goldream, who was a really good sprinter, like the speedster, now goes out and kind of used as like a bit of a pet at the races for people to come up and touch him and all that and give them that experience, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Did you, obviously Love Island kind of came out of the blue a bit for you. You were one of the normally they find them on Instagram.
Yeah, I was one of the only people who applied.
You applied, yeah. Desperate.
Don't ask why.
I didn't know you could apply to
hello.
Island. No, I'm not.
It's just sat up in the seat.
I'm also not going to take my T-shirt off on TV, but I didn't know that you could. I genuinely thought they found you.
No, I was
now.
Before Love Island. What were you before Love Island? But what were you? Do you know what I mean? What was Chris Hughes before Love Island?
I was a man of many trades. I was a gardener.
Right.
So I used to have was a gardener, and the company was with my cousin, and we were called Worms, and our slogan was "Everybody wants a worm in their garden." And we were the worms. That was our saying. You want me and him in your garden? Actually bumped into
That has very
yeah,
connotations.
yeah. Well, I bumped into a lady who I used to mow her lawn.
She employed worms.
It sounds terrible, doesn't it? I used to mow, and I bumped into her, and she had to take her glasses off, and I was like, oh my God. I said, and I asked her how her garden was. She goes, yeah, still up to date. Still looking good. Yeah. It's incredible. And I hadn't seen her since I was, 18, 19, 20? And
So she employed worms.
yeah, me and my
You do any
cousin
gardening
Stuart.
now?
No, it's rare. Like my favourite thing, I love to edge. Do edging a lawn.
That would be so cool. if they
Edging a
get it
lawn
right.
and having that therapeuticness of it being like you get the soil in, it's a very therapeutic job. Yeah. I was a solicitor, kind of. kind of. I was
Kind of a solicitor.
I was a
needs explaining.
licensed conveyancer. So I used to deal with all residential property, the buying and selling, all the legal paperwork, fixtures and fittings in land registry and all that type of thing. Sounds complicated, pretty straightforward. Anyone who's listening to this who is a licensed conveyancer might disagree, but
Or a solicitor, Mike.
or a solicitor. Either one.
Did you always want to end up in some capacity in racing, though, given your childhood?
Yeah, I was always like racing was. It's been a part of my life. Like I said, since I was 8 years old, so I will always be involved with racing, whether it was just continuing to ride out in John Joe's or something like that. Like I would have always been involved in it one way or another. Yeah, for sure. But when I came off Love Island, that was like my natural or unnatural, whichever way you want to look at it, transition into that was when I started working with ITV. And I remember I did a piece on the Thursday, this would have been 2018, I think was the first time I did something. Yeah, it would have been the Thursday of Cheltenham Week. And that was like my first time doing stuff with ITV or any form of like presenting with like an in-ear and stuff.
Yeah.
And you helped me and, you all kind of.
But what I think is brilliant is we saw you talking about racing on Love Island, and you don't really get many people your age reaching that demographic talking about racing.
Yeah.
And it's happening maybe a little bit more now. But
I've seen that. So that is so apparent. Like we mentioned National Racehorse Week, but when they bring the horses, now they do it. They take a horse into the city. So you'll have a stable in the middle of the city. They did it in Chester this year or last year. And seeing the people stop on the street, some of these people have never, ever stroked a horse before. Like, let alone a racehorse. They've never stroked a horse before. And obviously, to me, that's fascinating. But then I've got to appreciate, I grew up in the countryside around horses, so it's not as far-fetched as it sounds. But like giving people the opportunity to see a horse for the first time. Like, I remember Kem, who I was on Love Island with, he came up to John Joe's after Love Island. He actually sat on a horse and it threw him off straight away, right? Because he missed the saddle. He sat on the horse's arse and it just threw him off. But like, he was petrified. Oh my God, petrified of stroking a horse. He'd never seen a horse before. And like, you kind of forget that everyone has different backgrounds and stuff, and people grow up differently doing different things. But I was one of the only people from my series who was from the countryside. Like, a lot of people are from the city and they get scouted, like we said, or get approached to like, oh, you should apply for this.
I think you've honestly, you've become a good friend through the years, but like, you're such a good ambassador for the sport, because even when you're talking about it now, like the passion,
I love it.
Like, just it kind of bleeds out of you, which is amazing. So you have been able to take racing into sort of areas that we're not sort of, and we interview a lot of celebrities on ITV. You had Gemma Collins again on ITV, but when you've got someone like Chris who can come on and go, touching a horse is the best feeling in the world. It's like gold dust, really. I think.
It's something that in racing we've long looked for. I remember when we started off, when I started off with the Beeb like 23 years ago, they were so keen to get people who crossed the divide to try and get that audience that we've longed for, to try and reach people that wouldn't normally, as you say, wouldn't think about racing.
Yeah.
And they would use celebrities. And it's been a bit of a struggle over the years to actually find people who are genuine, who feel genuinely for the sport. So when you came along in 2018, as you say, the first thing to notice was that it wasn't forced. It wasn't in any way, having to be contrived. It was entirely a genuine love of the sport. Yeah. And that's what's shone through in your time since you've been involved with it.
I appreciate that. I think that makes it's easy for me though, because like we just said, because I love it. So it's like, it's just me being me and like loving the game, loving the sport, loving the animals.
Do you see more people engaging with it? Like,
for sure.
Your followers and things like that?
I know friends who, like, are close friends of mine now who knew nothing about racing 3 or 4 years ago, who I've met since like Love Island, and from sort of being in the public eye. I've met them through me being in the public eye. Whether it's like, I'm friends with a golfer now, and I met him playing in a pro-am, which I was invited to play. He now loves racing.
Yeah.
He'll text me about racing all the time. He'll text me, oh, what do you think of this horse? And I don't even know this horse is running. Like, it's like, he's like on it, and he's a fan of the sport now, and he interacts on Twitter and stuff about racing. And I'm like, yeah, this guy he kind of loved this sport because I educated him on the sport, and then he's now like, he loves it. So yeah, for sure you get involved. Like, even my manager Jason, who's with me today, like he knows little about racing, but he knows a lot more than he knew 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And just like, because he comes with me on all these
He doesn't
times.
give that impression.
No, he doesn't. No,
He's everywhere. He's at every race meeting.
yeah. That's what I'm saying though, because he's at every race course. And he comes everywhere with me.
Yeah.
He like.
But that's
he
the point.
He learns on the job. That's a racing saying, oh, we're learning on the job. We say that about when jockeys ride horses, the horse learning on the job. But that's like people.
But we talk about this a lot on the paddock, and we talk about it on air as well, just in general. Once people come to the races, right, I don't think you can help but fall in love with it as a sport. It's a great social occasion.
Yeah.
The sport's brilliant. You've got an area where you can hang out with your mates, dress up. There's so much good with it. And it's just getting people to the racecourse, which is what you're doing with GBR, isn't it?
Yeah,
you're
of course.
doing a lot of promotion.
Yeah, we were talking about it, weren't we? Like the different sort of initiatives that they run now to obviously, trying to attract people to come racing. But I think racing, I think everyone's very quick to kind of slag off all the different kind of initiatives, but the best thing about racing is it tries.
Yeah.
But the people involved in racing is forever trying to kind of do things to get people through the door, and it's very fickle at times, because there's certain generations of people want to shut anything down, which is like trying something new. I had it when I worked on the 100 doing the cricket coverage. You get the people who love 4-day, 5-day test matches and love sort of like red ball cricket. So the moment you do something which is really short format, which gets the children involved, like the kids absolutely love the 100. The players, all those professionals, international cricketers who play in the 100 absolutely love the 100.
They love it more now with the investment as well.
But they loved it at the start because it's a great tournament to play, and it's like, there's no cricket fan. I can't be convinced that cricket fans don't enjoy the 100. Like, it's good short format of the game. It's different, but you've got to embrace different. Like, we live in a different world now, when it's like every sport's doing things. All sports are changing in a way to kind of make it more kind of like entertaining and gripping. But I understand and I appreciate that you're going to have people have favour certain things than other things. Not everything's going to be perfect, and not everything people try is going to be right. But
I think you have to, as a sport, there's so many different things vying for people's attention now that you've got to try and evolve to survive and to stay current. And with the 100, I think one of the best things that they did really was not worry about upsetting or alienating current fans of the sport. They were saying, this is what it is. It's a different format. Not everyone's going to like it. We're changing some of the terminology.
yeah.
I think racing could learn from that to an extent. I think there are some things in racing that alienate people.
Well, no, and that's terminology. That's one thing. I mean, you bring when I speak to people. I was doing the hospitality box at Cheltenham this time, and you run through the card, and there's people in these hospitality boxes which are obviously invited by their work, and they've never been racing before. I remember coming off, and they go, we wrote down all your tips. They go, but I only recognise the horses says because some of the words you were using, they go, I have no idea what that means.
Yeah.
Racing's very much like that. Unless you kind of have to have been involved in the sport for a bit of a while to actually kind of
The lingo.
learn the lingo.
I think you don't need to make wholesale changes to racing. So I don't think you want to say we're changing terminology here and there across the sport. But if you bring in something new, a bit like the 100 did, if you bring in your Friday night lights or when you start out the racing league or whatever, there could be a few terminology changes around that. What's a furlong?
Yeah.
A furlong means nothing to most people. Like, it doesn't exist anywhere else. What the hell's just do meters? And then people can say, oh right, okay, that's 1,200 meters. Oh, I get it. That's 6 furlongs. Okay, well, that's 1,200 meters. So I know how long 100 meters is, so I can work out how many 12 of those are. I suddenly have a gauge on how far that race is.
Yeah.
I was down at the Cheltenham start with someone who was as part of our team behind the scenes, but doesn't know racing at all. And it was the start of the Champion Bumper. And he said, oh, are they just running up towards us and finishing? And I was like, I wanted to laugh and be like, no, obviously not, mate, because that's like two. But then I was like, hang on, why would you know any different? And in your race card, it says that the race is 2.5 miles.
Yeah.
And you're going, okay, well, that's 2 miles, 4 furlongs, 2 miles, 1 furlong. So I think that would be a good starting point,
Yeah.
so people can relate to it and go, I understand how far that is because it's in meters. And there are loads of them.
There are
And-
like simplified race cards at certain places
Yeah.
where they try, again, like you say, they do try.
Well, the Gold Cup this year, we were talking to Jason again, who sat over there. We were watching the race from about the 2 furlong pole on the balcony out there. And they were coming down, they'd done a circuit, they were coming back down the Cheltenham Hill. And he went to me, is this it? Is this where it's finishing? And I said, no, they go again. But they're even that, it's like,
Yeah.
obviously for us, you can read the kind of the way that the race is being ridden, and we know like how like jockey's body language as to how long it is left in a race, right? But he mentioned you kind of need like a graphic. You know how I don't know if they do it in America. They do it.
You could put it on the big screen.
Do you know what I mean by a
Screen.
graphic? Like an interactive graphic, which almost tells you exactly where they are.
Have it
in
on
the-
American race.
Yes, in American racing, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's so
But they
easy.
also
Oh,
have
you know exactly.
the yards, the distance reducing as the race goes on.
Yeah. Yes, like that reducing it counts down 1,000 meters, 900, all that
yeah.
kind
I
of.
suppose in athletics you have the bell for the last lap, although you're not doing too many laps, but just a way to signify. Yeah, I think we take a lot for granted in the sport that people
Yeah.
know
With
what
the
they're
100,
what they're
one thing
seeing.
that they did do that, I mean, I'm not sure to the extent which has been done in racing, but one thing with the 100, before it started, when they decided that they were going to try something new, is that they had focus groups with kids, families, and they asked them, what do you want out of a
They
day?
put out the news. They put out a big, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
A survey. Thing.
So they made sure that they asked them what they wanted, and then they provided it for them. Even simple things like access to the toilets, access to getting food and drink, just simple things, and getting in and out of your seat easily, entertainment for the kids. But all those things, they decided, right, okay, this is what we want. This is the list of priorities that we're going to provide for the people that are coming.
Are
We're gonna make
they
sure
asking
have it.
non-cricket fans though? Because that's the thing I think racing doesn't do enough
They
of, is
ask-
go out and ask people
a
who've never been
So
raced.
basically, families who hadn't taken their kids because they don't want to go take them to a test match.
Yeah, the amount, just from working on that coverage, the amount of kids who went for the first, who play cricket, who've never been to a cricket match before, they absolutely loved it. And they all wore the colours.
Yeah.
They all had like their
So
oval invincible, like luminousy green kind of colour.
That's it. It's bright. You've got. I mean, I took my young kids, and the two things that they liked more than anything was when it was a 4 or 6, they'd hold up the
Yeah.
cards,
Yeah.
and when it was a 4 or 6, there's fire around the side.
Yeah.
Like, and then
Yeah, it's
I
like
know
that.
you're not going to do that in horse racing.
But you got the
Horse wins
music.
the race.
Yeah.
But there was something so engaging about that. It was bright colours. It was lively. It was vibrant
Yeah.
that the kids could really buy into.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to
Well,
that in horse
And the
So-
music, well, that's similar with racing in the cricket. What they did with that is some of those race meetings. I know Ascot do it for time. Newmarket do it where they have the live music on after. That that actually works because they're busy after racing. That's a good
people
crowd.
in racing criticise that, and I go, you're getting loads of people
Oh,
in.
it gets people in. I know people who only go to the racing because they've got that concert in the evening.
And then they might go have a bet that wins, or have
But they will.
a good
They'll
day
be
out,
there for
and
the
then they
whole
go, let's go back when there's not an act on. I can't see why people are so. Well, there's quite a lot of discerning voices to that, and it baffles me that.
Yeah, you just get like the people who don't like people. Some people just don't like
No, for the
change, do
sake
they?
of moaning.
And I think some people will worry that we are losing sight of the animal and the sport. I think there is that genuine concern.
You can have both, though, right?
Oh, you 100% can. You talked about the campaigns earlier on, so I know you were part of the Everyone's Turf campaign, which was by and large not very well received, and I don't think it landed. Not because of you, but I can understand why you were part of it, given the reach that you have. And I think that made sense. Then they did the Going is Good campaign, which seems to have been a great success. Now, that was much lower budget in its filming. I mean, couldn't have been more different. You weren't, getting Jermaine Genius there and filming on a race course. It looked very low budget what they put in, but I think they put their spend to where it went. And that seems to have reached a much younger audience and seemed to have worked on that front.
I think it's trial and error. Like, you've got to appreciate it's not just horse racing. Like, anything you do in life where you go to do a new initiative for something, not everything works. Like, sometimes you have to spend money to realise what works and what doesn't.
100%.
So it's so easy to kind of do stuff, spend money, and then slate it in the aftermath. Go, oh, what a waste of money. But sometimes in life you have to spend money to actually discover if something does work or not.
That's what
Otherwise, it's hard to actually find out if something does work.
Epsom are doing that for the Derby because obviously the Derby has been such a disappointing event over the last few years. They've decided, right, okay, we are going to spend whatever it takes, even if we run at a loss to begin with, in order to try and resurrect the Derby, make it look good as much as
I
anything
think that's
else.
a great, and I think that's
And they'll do things that don't work on the day, but they're like as you say, they're going to try things, and it might be that whatever the O Beach area isn't a success, but it might be amazing, right?
If they find two or three things that they've done
lad.
out of the 20 things they've done this year that works, there's 2 or 3 things to work on.
Yeah, and then you work on it. Yeah, exactly.
Tell us about the horse you own then. What's this about?
Clough. His name's Clough, right? So I own it with named after
the great man.
Yeah, the great man. Yeah, Brian. So I own him with my best friend Matt Broughton, right? Who you'll know, Bruce.
Yeah.
And we love our racing, and we thought, okay, we'll get a horse. And I've ridden out at Dylan's a couple of times. Dylan Cunha in Newmarket. So I've ridden out there a couple of times. The reason I rode out there is because my other friend Jack, I went and rode his horse. He went, oh, you can go. I said, oh, let me go into Dylan's ride your horse one day. There's a horse called Asgard's Captain.
He's tricky.
So listen, oh my God, the hardest horse, the hardest pulling horse I've ever sat on in my life. And I've sat on hundreds of race horses, right? This thing, I did a piece of work on him. Dylan went, oh, come in on a work morning, do a piece of work on him, right? And at the time, I think he was rated like 60 or something, all right? And anyway, gone in there, sat on him, we peeled out, it's pitch black. Anyway, doing this piece of work in Newmarket, and it's a bit of a trek to get to kind of like that long gallop. It's not Warren Hill, it's the other one. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, long story short. The piece of like, to warm him up, you actually canter sort of downhill to get to the bottom of this work gallop, right? And that cantering down, I mean, I didn't need 2 horses in front of me. This thing is like pulling triple. And I got to the bottom, I was done. Mine was gone. I haven't even done the piece of work yet. But the beauty of that is that when you actually then ride a piece of work, you can kind of drop your hands a bit, and because the horse is working harder, oh my God, it's so much easier to ride a piece of work than it is to sometimes actually do a steady canter on a horse which wants to pull your arms out. So that was actually quite a relief then. So anyway, we did this piece of work, and he worked lovely. Anyway, he's now a high 80s, early 90s horse, right? And he won at York. And I love the horse, got so much character. But Dylan said to me recently, I think he said there's only 1 or 2 people in the yard who can actually ride him, because he pulls like so hard. It's obscene. But anyway, long story short, I thought, you know what? There was an opportunity to buy a horse with Dylan, so I thought, okay, we will. And we got this lovely grey horse called Clough. Bought him as a 2-year-old in February of 2024. He hasn't made it to the racecourse yet. This is the issue. Like, we love Clough, and he's one of those. He's a character. So that's what I mean. I almost like, there's a part of me which kind of respects the fact that he's not even put his best foot forward yet, because he's almost like he's taking the piss out of us. So I'm just like, he's almost just having us on, but that's part of his character. But anyway, he did a piece of work back in the summer of last year, was a bit sore after it when he was due to run at Yarmouth. So he hasn't had his debut. And anyway, he's had a wind operation. He's due to run at the start of the turf campaign this year. So he'll be out there soon. Dylan actually messaged me the other day. He goes, oh, we just did some stall works with him. He goes, he's the quickest horse out the stalls. And sometimes I don't know when Dylan's walking. But he sent me a video. He does in like club. The issue is he's bymaster craftsman, right? So the thing is, he's a middle distance. So we don't need that. He absolutely bolts the trap. Yeah. But do you know what? It'd be interesting to see how good it is. We couldn't get him named. So initially,
if you name a horse after someone famous, you have to get clearance from like the estate or the person you're naming after.
Exactly. So we wanted Clough. We could have gone with Clough or something like that. I'm Sunderland and Matt's Nottingham Forest. Right? So that was our mutual link. The link we had was Brian Clough. And like, there were names for us. It has to just be Clough. Just bold, straight. And the awful horse comparison name I used, I was like, no, we just need a solid. I said, remember Broom. Right, remember that one?
Yeah.
I was like, just one solid name, Broom, Clough. We don't need to put any like I's or Y's on the end. Let's just call him. So we had to somehow get hold of Nigel Clough. So obviously Brian Clough's son, right? So I thought, how do we get hold of this? So I got hold of Jim, my other manager, and Jim knows people in the football. And anyway, we got hold of Nigel, and Nigel got on the phone with Jim, and they was telling him about it, and he goes, look, they're absolutely fine, be a pleasure. So then we had to get it in email confirmation from him so we could pass it on to the BHA for proof. And while he was on the phone to Jim, he said, look, there's one condition. He goes, my old man would have said, just make sure it's a bloody good horse. And that was only, unfortunately, right now, he isn't a bloody good horse, right? But he's trying, and we got our colours, so it's red and white stripes, red cap. I just
Is this the first horse you've had with Matt on your own?
first horse. Which I've been involved with the horses through the Coral Racing Club, where I fronted that, which had been amazing. We've had Annie Mack, and we had a festival runner this time with All the Glory and the Mayor's Chase. But no, this is the first one where it's like very kind of like solely, me and Matt. And I love Dylan. He's so good to me. Lets me go in there, ride out whenever. And I've been up to Dylan's and rode some other people's 2-year-olds.
He's a hell of a trainer, Dylan.
Yeah,
I think he's a really good trainer. South African, isn't he? But he's done brilliantly.
But yeah,
He needs to be a good horse, though, Clough.
I know.
What are you going to? No pressure, but
Well, the thing is, because he's bred to be a middle distance horse. Well, hopefully we might be able to go juvenile hurdling with him.
But
and
if this horse is no good, if you don't run him and keep the name.
Yes, I know. That's the other thing. There is that option.
Yeah.
What can you try? So if it never runs,
Well, if it never runs, you
Yeah.
can rename another horse that. So that's the thing. Yeah. So but if they have a run, that's the name's Clough's gone.
You'll have to recognise again.
yeah.
The last one was no good, Nigel.
Oh yeah. But no, he's so quirky. But I just hope he's like. He deserves to be all right. We'll see. Like, we'll have some fun, whatever happens. But
All right, so back in the day, I'm obviously much the oldest here, but obviously there was McCririck. He kept racing, beyond just the sport. People knew McCririck. And then the Tory, maybe, even further back, there was Leicester. But now there aren't really many of those characters. Who would you say would be a candidate for that? I mean, you obviously did it for a bit.
Doesn't have to be someone who
But
works
can you think
currently.
of people in the sport?
Well,
or
they were such
younger ones, or
well, yeah, they're big personalities, aren't they? People who kind of like, but they lived and breathed the sport. I'm trying to think of people.
I mean, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
It's rare. So
Yeah,
when I
of
say, like, obviously, Dettori was a sports star, and he then propelled himself on whatever it was. He was on doing Question of Sport.
Well, he did the jungle, didn't he? And
Did the
stuff like
jungle
that,
and all that. McCririck was on. Was it the Wife Swap and Big Brother and all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff?
that was
That was a hard watch. Was
Yeah.
Edwina Curry?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But so so they made the leap beyond racing. There's nobody currently within racing who's doing that.
No.
I think it's an easy
But it-
answer. There isn't anyone.
But
I'm trying to think.
We do need somebody. We do need
Well,
as many people. Well,
You
Yeah.
heard
I'm
it.
saying when you did it, you were the closest.
And those are the people who from racing went out. Chris has come from out. I know
Yeah.
you've always grown up with racing, but like so rare to. That's what was so magic about you when you were talking about racing on Love Island and whatnot. Is like you're seeing someone genuinely like try and explain to people who've never been racing on Love Island. Like this is why I love the sport and riding horses. It was, it's absolutely amazing. I think it's magic. You should be like, you should be very proud of.
No, it's nice. It's nice. It's very, very nice words. Boys.
Yeah,
I think
It's all got very friendly.
yeah. We're going to start crying.
No, it's good. But that's why I love the stuff I do with GBR, because they always, Great British Racing always say, I've been with them since the start of National Racehorse Week, so 2019, and I've continued to be an ambassador for them and do loads of stuff with not just with the Wildfest side, but also going like in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to school a horse over the Grand National fences, which they pipe pipes and stuff. But
That would be cool.
It will be.
Will you be scared doing
But
that?
the thing, no, I love it. No, I mean.
That's you jumping over a Grand National fence, isn't it?
Yeah,
Schooling.
and I've never schooled the national fences, but for me, like that's so exciting to be able to go up there and they were like Georgia was said to me from GBR, like there's no one kind of in the public eye as such who isn't just solely racing, who can you can kind of go, okay, can you go and jump on a racehorse? Because it's kind of right. We know what it's like riding racehorse. It's a niche thing. However, most people who ride racehorses actually like they work in the sport full time, don't they? It's like that kind of thing. But that for me, I love like having opportunities like that. And I've already schooled alongside Harry Cobden down at the Tizards years back, 5 or 6 years ago, and like having those opportunities and riding out with different jockeys at all these different racing yards. I've rode like when I rode Kitties, like that was like for me. Like I rode Kitties, I did a piece of exercise on the beach down at Christian's Yard, and like that was with Great British Racing showcasing. We showcased these kind of really cool racing yards and these facilities, which are like almost hidden gems. So people could kind of on socials then when you promote it and you post it, people go, "Wow, I didn't know you could train racehorses on the beach," kind of thing. And I remember when I rode Kitties like that day, he said to me, "How does it feel?" And I said, "Oh yeah, no, it feels good." And he goes, No, how does it feel?" I said, "What do you mean, how does it feel?" He goes, "How does it feel to be sat on a Scottish National winner?" I went, "Oh, is this winning the Scottish National?" He goes, "I'm telling you, this was 6 weeks before." He'll tell you now. He goes, there's no way he gets beaten the Scottish national. And then he went and won the Scottish national, won the Ida. Did he win the Bet 365 as well? I can't remember, but
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I think he won the 3. He ticked off the 3. That
Yeah.
I remember he won the Ida because we were at Kempton that day, and he just stayed on and stayed on. But it was like,
Magic.
that was just pretty cool.
Because-
Have those opportunities to
Amazing.
ride racehorses like that, and I rode Mighty Thunder as well when I went to Lucinda Russell's, and
That won a Scottish national, didn't it?
yeah, that won a
Scuba,
Scottish
is it?
national, yeah.
Because you'll be jumping over the national fences to take us to Aintree, basically. Which
Yeah,
is what
you're basically just showcasing. That would be a really fun piece of content. You're just basically showcasing. We'll do a piece. I imagine how we'll do it is we'll film a piece with the fences just stood next to them, basically showcasing what they are, what they're made up of, because there'll be essential replicas
Yeah,
of like those standard.
So what
fences there.
does the Grand National mean to you in the Grand National meeting? Because that's what, a couple of weeks away.
I love it. I think it's just an incredible sporting event, one of the best sporting events in the world. Like we know that, like we've been there for years. I've watched it ever since I was the baby. Like it's just exciting. It's one of those which non-racing fans get involved in as well, because it's the one you can do a sweepstake with your family, or you're at work and you all do a sweepstake. Like it's one which gets everybody kind of sucked in, and even if it gets them sucked in for 10 minutes, like they're invested in nothing else but racing, and that's like a really special race.
It's amazing to think how many eyes are on that race,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
event.
Oh
It's
my God.
unbelievable.
Yeah, but when you say the figures,
6 million in the UK and something like 800 million globally.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
incredible.
it's like on the ground. It's unbelievable that we as a sport
Yeah.
can present that and say,
Yeah.
look how many people watch this sport, which is why it's so under the microscope, and I think quite rightly changes a bit.
But it's also why it's important to get those pieces out of Chris explaining how the fences are, seeing how safe they are.
well, now because they've obviously completely changed from what they were 15, 20 years ago. I mean, it is a different race.
Completely different.
And it's like we obviously,
It's a lot safer.
yeah, and it's good because it's modified the way that, it's been modified, and it's been modified for good purposes. And, welfare is always, I think what people forget is everyone who works in the sport is involved in the sport. We care about the welfare of the animals more than anyone. Like we do. That's like, we're involved in it. And it's crazy to think the amount of people who actually believe that, they work in race, they don't we care more than anyone. So kind of,
Yeah, you sort of highlighted that by even when you're a kid, the amount of emotion you have around the horses.
yeah,
that
of course, yeah.
I was going to ask you that on other sport, and this, I guess both of you have worked in a lot of different sports. Do you ever get any pushback or just an awkward feel with anyone when you say that you work predominantly in horse racing? Have you ever felt that?
Yeah. I've been many at times where I've sat there and tried to educate someone. The best people you can educate, though, are people who actually want to listen. Like you're banging your head against a door which isn't opening when people don't want to listen. If people are stuck in their ways and stubborn, like you can't educate stubbornness. So it's like there's always people I've had a conversation with. God, there was a good one, and I cannot remember where I was or what it was, but I was speaking to a girl once, and I was literally just educating her on the fact that, that she was saying, I really like racehorses, but she knows nothing about it, but she didn't like horse racing. And I kind of, said, you love these thoroughbreds, but these thoroughbreds would never exist without racing. Like the beauty of their existence is because of the sport. We don't breed racehorses to have them as pets, even though the moment they're born and they grow up as foals and you own them and look after them, they are pets. Like you look after them like they live in your house. Like that's how much you love them. Yeah, and you build that love towards an animal. But the beauty is the sport allows these unbelievable animals to exist, and we call them equine athletes, and they literally are. They are the best looked after animals, the best care you've ever received. There's not one of us here in this whole room now who looks after ourselves better than a racehorse gets looked after. We always say it's 5-star care and attention, and it genuinely is. And I don't want to keep banging it on, but that's what National Racehorse Week does so well, because the amount of people that's converted into thinking, just to seeing a horse get washed down and, looked after and everything fed, watered, their bedding done, it showcases that. And that will always continue, and rightfully so, because you can never beat the drum about welfare in a sport which does so much enough.
But the point you make about when Tom asked that question, you said the people who will change their opinion or maybe have an anti-racing. Some people have anti-gambling. Some people are anti-racing in general. But the ones who change their opinion generally are the ones who want to listen, and that's the main thing. So I think GBR with horsepower, and then in general racing is sort of focused on the people who want to listen, and not worried so much in the last couple of years about those who are the complete extreme end of anti-horse racing.
Yeah.
And I think that's the main area to focus on in future when it comes to welfare, those that want to listen.
And I can really appreciate someone if they go, look, I listen, I understand like all your points on like the welfare thing, but I still don't like horse racing. I'm absolutely fine with that. Like if you listen and like you can appreciate the points and what actually happens within horse racing in racing yards, if you can kind of like take your brain there just for a second of conversation to actually understand that, but then you still, it's not for you, then that's fine.
The other thing is as well, and I don't want to embarrass her because she's also here, and I genuinely would love to hear from JoJo about in a few minutes.
She's learned a lot from racing.
But you know what, I'd love to hear
and she's been to racing for the first time.
About what someone complete outsider to, well, you've had to convince her to like Sunderland and horse racing, so she's got double bubble there. But like when you're saying but when you're saying to someone who's probably never been, I don't know whether JoJo had been racing in America, but certainly I can't believe she would have been racing in England, and you're saying this is a sport I love. Was it an easy sell to someone from outside?
She loves British traditions, right? And so when you go to like Cheltenham Festival, when you go to like the Royal Ascot, that's very British, and like we have our own traditions in the way we do things. So as an American, like she really loved that. She loves the whole way the British people are. She loves the way we speak, like our lingo, all that kind of thing. So yeah, for her to kind of, I've taken her to Dillon, so she's met Clough before, and like and she's been up to John Joe's as well. Like it's nice to kind of be able to take someone into a race yard who knows absolutely nothing about it. And yeah, she was fascinated by the animals, and she would stroke them there, and it kind of, she had that feel. I remember that was the first time I got close with animals. Like you have that feel good feeling inside you. Like you've become.
Do you mind if we get her on?
Yeah, get her on.
Is that all right? JoJo, do you mind coming on?
Come on, darling.
Okay, well, here she is. Thank you so much. You're probably fresh from a flight or something, so we've totally hijacked your day off.
I'm here to be the fresh, supportive girlfriend. That's all I was here for today. But I'm
You
here.
probably
for
didn't think
this.
you'd have to come on a podcast
No,
with
I don't
us and
mind.
talk
I don't
about
Camera
horse
racing.
racing.
Absolutely not.
Oh,
It's not
horse racing.
camera, really.
But it's really interesting for us as people who are sort of, and Chris as well, sort of grown up with horse racing. You've come into Chris's world, and what have you made of it all? What do you make of horse racing?
Honestly, I was, and you can even talk on this. I was very scared of horses when I was younger. I fell off a horse. Well, kind of. I was filming a music video, and the horse was just supposed to walk, and I got scared, so I squeezed it, and it started running naturally, as a horse does. It's what it's supposed to do. And so I got very scared, fell off, and it made me shy away from horses. So then we went to go meet Clough, and I was very, very scared, and I didn't understand how to even. I didn't know how to touch the horse.
Yeah, that was the bit where I was on about like they sense fear.
I wasn't, and he said he might bite you, but you'll be fine. He said, "Here, put your shoulder here. He'll chew on it." I was like, "No, I don't want it to." And so that was a first step, right? Getting over the fear of horses. And then his brother has a horse, and I started feeding his brother's horse, and that kind of loosened up the fear. And then obviously watching horse races. I've never seen horses. No, I've seen a practice thing. You did a little run on horses, and I watched you run on one.
In training?
So that's not a race, but I watched you.
Piece of work.
Riding out.
That was at JoJo's.
Oh yeah, road out.
Early.
Oh god, that was a long time ago. Yeah.
A long time ago, nearly a year ago.
Yeah.
And that was cool to see. And then it was, you see other people be comfortable around him. But watching horse races, I've never watched a horse race in my life before him. I've never watched a football game before him. So
What did you think? Because, I mean, genuinely, as demographic-wise, you could be someone who just goes, whoa, that is not for me.
not my world, yeah.
But you like, do you see it as I don't know, aspirational, cool, fun? Like, what is there something, or are you just a bit like not bothered either way?
No, I'll be honest. At first, obviously, as you do, I only watched it because he liked it, right? So what boy wants to watch it, all right, cool, we're gonna watch it, right? Same way he would watch what I want to watch. Like you just put it on and you just go with it. And then all of a sudden he would start to say like, which one do you think will win? And I would say, oh, this one. And I think it was one time I picked a complete random one and I got it right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of made me be like, wait, I'm kind of into this. I kind of like this.
That's
Gambling. There we go.
Yeah.
But it's like picking.
And I like
It's the
picking winners.
excitement of like, but she didn't have a bet on it. That was the thing.
Yeah.
It was just like almost like the bragging rights of like,
And
That's
seeing
cool, right?
and following your color go through and seeing them go in their little thing before and then go out and then all of a sudden the loser becomes the winner. Like it just. It
what
really-
made you pick that horse? Was it based on the name?
The name.
Like, yeah.
No, do you know what I based it off of? You know, just say a horse, sorry if anyone's horse's name is Cup of Tea, okay? The winner is Cup of Tea. You're never going to hear that. You're never going to hear the winner is Cup of Tea. But all of a sudden you hear Dashing Star. If someone's name was horse is Dashing Star, I can guarantee it's won before. The winner is Dashing Star.
Yeah.
You can picture the announcer saying that name as the winner.
yeah.
So that's I look at the list of names and I
That's
go,
actually a
that one
thing.
could win.
There's a thing, isn't there, where like the best named racehorses.
Yeah.
It's almost like they've put them aside
Oh, yeah.
for like
Yeah.
something
You
which
can
is
just
actually
tell.
good.
They
Yeah.
do. Like Coolmore will reserve like the best name
Yep.
for the
Yeah.
best.
Or I
horses.
like backing the underdog. I like
Yeah.
seeing who is predicted to lose, and I'll go, that's going to...
And you know, in racing, it provides so many stories like that, where a
Yeah.
horse that doesn't cost as much can take on a horse that costs loads, and actually the horse that costs,
that kind
Hewitt
of
cost
thing.
500 quid or something,
Yeah.
and won the King George, like one of the biggest
And they're the
jumps for
best
it.
stories in racing.
Yeah.
Like,
I have no clue anything you just said, but
No.
yes,
Yeah,
you get
but
the
the
point.
point
Yeah.
is that the big guns can compete with the under. David can take on Goliath.
And it's just a good day. Like one horse
Yeah.
might have its best day, while the worst horse might have its best day, while the best horse has its worst day, and then
The essence of what you just said in terms of picking a horse and it winning and the thrill, that's racing.
yeah,
That is where racing should be selling itself all the
Yeah.
time.
excitement.
You know, the idea of just so I've said, because obviously younger people is the demographic that
Yeah.
racing struggles to attract, but of course you can't ask them to bet until they get to 18. So it's almost a case of like, get them to understand the problem that's involved, or the solution of picking the horse.
Yeah.
And get that go. I'm not training them to be gamblers, but
No.
you're
Yeah.
training them to enjoy the satisfaction
Yeah.
of getting a puzzle right.
and you don't have you can also just win in pride. You don't have to.
Yeah. Exactly.
You should tell them, sorry, going back to the same thing, because I just remembered it. Remember you were at the races, I think it was, I'll never remember what it
It was Ascot. I know exactly what you're going to say. It was Ascot, and it was, I can't remember what day it was. It was Royal Ascot last year, and you have a song called Karma, right?
And
there was obviously
Dylan had a horse. No,
but there was the horse. No, that ran a good race. Kama Chameleon. No, there was what was the horse called? It was called.
there was one
Karma.
called Karma.
Oh, Karma's, yeah, right, yeah.
Paddock took me so long. Sorry. Yeah, Karma, C-A-R.
But then the other
But
one.
then the other one, her favourite number is 23. So on all your stage outfits and stuff, it's always
number's
23,
always 23.
right?
Yeah.
And then I think it must have been, I think it was either the race after, there's a horse called True Love, which was number 23. And I said, and then so Karma's one, and then True Love one, which was 23. It was almost like it was written in the stars, right? And I said,
amazing.
and I was with Jim and Jason at the time, again, my two
And that
managers.
was early on.
Yeah, and it was just like,
Summer, right?
it was almost like it was meant to be.
That's
Like
so cool.
23, True Love, Karma's one, and it was just like, but if
I
you were,
think maybe that's what got me into horses. I was like, okay, the horse has got my back. Here we go.
Fate, look at that. Does he get animated watching the racing?
Me, honestly.
You do a great impression of Chris, don't you?
I think I do. He doesn't do that.
this does a terrible.
He'll be watching the races, and he thinks the horses can hear him, and they go, "Come on, up you come, up you come." How do you do the click that you do?
I mean, like when they approach your bed, you're like,
Yeah, and he'll do that. He'll
you're
just-
trying to like, you're almost like mentally, you're trying to like,
You're trying to be the jockey on the horse.
Yeah.
aren't
yeah,
you?
you're trying to like send some
Up you
telepathic stuff through the screen. You're like, just to meet you on a good start. That's all you want.
Show
But
them how you do that.
But we all do, babe. Every single one of us here shuts
We all
the horse
do,
for a
yeah,
TV
I will
screen.
say, I did think it was just him, and then yesterday we were watching a race at his house, and his buddy Jack did the same thing, and it was the first time that I'd heard somebody else do it.
Oh no,
Jack
I
does
promise you, Jojo, we all do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Do
he.
you do it because
Not everyone-
it's instinctual?
Not everyone
Yeah.
can do that, by the way.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So I think I do it more around people who don't know. I think because it makes me sound like so it's terrible.
that might have been why.
If I was watching with you, I'd probably do. I'd be like, I can't. Damn it.
What do
yeah.
you always
I
say?
would,
you
yeah.
always say something too about like wide around the rails, or he's got to.
No, get the rail. Yeah, you like when.
Oh, he's on the rail.
Yeah, if somebody like hugs the rail, it's like you keep them straight, especially in flat racing. Like you want to get across. Yeah, hug the rail.
Now you don't want to see my impression of him watching football because that is like
Yeah, we probably have to swear it out.
No, not too.
Have you been racing yet? Over?
I haven't.
Have you got plans? Will you go racing?
Potentially Royal Ascot this year. That's the plan, isn't it?
I didn't. I would love to.
We drove past because
You live in Ascot,
now.
don't you? Yeah.
We drove past. She goes, "I want to go there this
Yeah.
year," and she pointed at the race course. So I
Yeah.
thought,
I said,
well,
"That's
there we
what
are
I'd
then.
love to."
And is there anything, and this might be a really unfair question, but is there anything when you watch racing from afar that you think, why don't they do this? I would like it more if they did that.
Ooh.
You don't have to answer straight away. You can think, but there's nothing.
Give me 5 minutes and I can give you a full idea.
I'm pretty sure British racing will take you up on that.
Yeah. I mean, we could rhinestone some of the outfits. We could add a little,
Yeah.
sparkle to some of the helmets of the jockeys or something. We could.
Imagine that.
There you go.
Rhinestone.
Couple
No, but the issue is,
bit of blame.
do you know why you couldn't do that?
The weight.
The weight. of
yeah.
it. So when she wears
Yeah.
her clothes,
Are they heavy?
They are.
and they're
very
all
heavy.
rhinestoned.
You wouldn't need to add
it's,
a lot.
it's like it would weigh like
Yeah, a little bit.
a jacket shoe
Yeah.
would be like 5. It's so heavy.
But you
like,
know what?
Put it on the bridle.
Do you know what? Genuinely, and I know
Yeah.
this sounds like a really, really.
probably can anyway. You get the braid bag.
But actually, if you were to design a set of silks to run to use a Royal Ascot, like that would reach your fans, right? You've got
Yeah,
millions of fans all over the world. That would
Put a
be a
little
great
bow on the
way
horse's tail.
of someone in racing trying to reach a new demographic in terms of audience. That's actually that's
You
good
know what
enough
else
for me.
they
that
could
one.
add?
Yeah, yeah.
When
I
Clough
was
is
gonna-
running in
he
the
needs to wear-
Britannia.
I was gonna say they
red
can.
and white rhinestones on his bra.
They can add a race for 4-year-olds who still haven't gone out. They could just do like
Just a Clough going to race.
just for clubs.
They're us.
Just Chris there.
Yeah. That's what he needs, bless him.
Imagine.
I actually want to think of a better answer for that. I
but-
mean, obviously I won't quickly, but
No, for sure. And it will put you on the spot there, which, again, you've just come off a flight, so bless you. But like, in all seriousness, racing is, and that's what we were talking about with Chris on this episode, like tapping into a different audience. It's crying out for young people. It would be amazing to get sort of young females coming
Yeah.
racing. We've had jockeys like Rachel Blackmore that's
Yeah.
won everything. And like people really look up, young boys and girls look up to
Yeah.
Rachel Blackmore. But I think it's really important that racing listens to all types of
Yeah.
people so that everyone can feel like they can come race.
I mean, listen, I'll give you a statement of all statements. I am the person who, if you would have told me a year ago that I would be at a race course enjoying talking about horse racing with my boyfriend, I would think you're psycho. Like I wouldn't even say you're wrong, I'd say you're psycho. And so, yeah, I not only come from a background of not growing up with it, but also having a legit fear. Like I genuinely, you can ask, if someone was to say, do you not like any animals? I would say, oh, I don't like horses. Now I like horses. I said I want to buy a horse
Great.
because, Clough's doing so good. We're gonna
How
She said
many,
she wants to buy a horse.
how many followers have you got on your relative platforms? I don't know.
The number
take a guess. Take a
God,
guess. If you had
I
a
mean,
guess.
whatever you guess, add zeros. on it.
Followers on Instagram.
Yeah, okay, go for Instagram.
Will they go TikTok after?
Yeah, go.
It'll be terrible. Well, I mean, it'll be amazing.
10 million?
2 million.
You're close.
Oh, that's quite good. That was very British.
11.2 million.
Oh, 11.
But you-
That's not
you
that
had the-
close, Joe.
She said that.
I said I had zero. I was right. Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah, go for TikTok.
Eight.
Shoot for the moon.
8 million.
Shoot for the moon.
What?
20 million.
Shoot for the moon.
Stop.
100 million.
40 something.
49, I think.
49 million.
Yeah.
But you know what? And we're talking
America's
about it.
America's a big place.
America, well, the world. That's the world.
That is the-
that's
Well,
all
which
of
is
the UK.
amazing. You've done
But
so
honestly,
well.
back to the horses. Like, if you were to tell me that I would enjoy horse racing, I am the poster child for
Not knowing. anything.
Yeah.
not knowing anything. And in less than a year, I thoroughly enjoy it.
Do you know what the Kentucky Derby is?
Yeah, of course.
And did you ever watch it?
Of course not.
Wow.
Never. And actually, y'all are like this. Years ago, when I started to get into the industry and started to have money and able to do things, one of my very, very, very good friends of years, and my mom's very good friend, his name is JR and Adam. They own horses, and their horses race in Melbourne Cup and like all this stuff,
Wicked.
right? And so they wanted me back in the day to buy horses with them and invest in horses, and I said no, like I don't. Sorry, like it's just
Yeah,
not
you
my
don't.
world. But it's funny that, like, looking back now, even with my mom, I told her, I was like, I think I would one day, like, if you see a chunk of money come out of the bank account, like, don't be surprised I bought a horse.
So we recently, 4 months ago, or 3 months ago, sold Annie Mac in the sale in Ireland, right, to Peel Bloodstock in Chester. Anyway, long story short, she was sold and she's in foal, but now she's just had her foal. But at the time, like saying goodbye, Annie Mac was like, she was like my favorite ever racehorse through the Coral Racing Club. Like I adored her. I rode her the first day she ever got to Jackdaws like 7 years ago, up to John Joe Jard. I remember seeing her that day, rode her, and I literally fell in love with her straight away. When I was telling you, I went to the sales, like as part of like filming some content with Coral just to say goodbye to her kind of thing. And I was like, she might have been sold to Ireland. If she was sold to Ireland already, right, it'd be very rare I'd go and see her, but I'm actually seeing her this week. So she's now had her foal. She's got a lovely foal, but I remember you were saying, you were like, well, she goes, if you don't have to sell, she goes, we could just go halves and then keep her.
That would be amazing for you to have that.
I was 100% down to go 50-50.
Yeah, she wants to buy the foal, you see, so there's that opportunity. Yeah.
Why
Is the
don't
foal gonna
you?
be for
We
sale?
should, yeah.
Oh, as in they're putting it through the ring. Yeah.
Once they do, 100% we should.
Well, you can do it privately as well, can't you? You can sell it.
Well,
that's the thing.
Whoever's watching this who's selling the horse goes, right, yeah, we got it sold.
No, but that's
But let's just give a heads up. If we do buy this horse, this will be the best horse.
Yeah.
Because my child won't be happy. We gotta.
he sold her first foal as well, which was a Dr. Dino, and then now they obviously just had this foal as well. So they're like, yeah, I mean,
But that would be great for you to continue that story, and that's what racing again provides, to have the
and that's
families.
what I was saying that's what I was saying with Simon when we were talking about it. Like, it would be so nice to. She's given us so much, so it's like continuing the story only feels right, and it keeps you emotionally invested in like her journey because it's her offspring and stuff like that. But yeah.
So if there were any of your fans watching this, and I hope there are lots of them,
This will be clipped up. This thing now will be clipped up.
what would you say about like if someone said, should I go racing? What would you say to them?
Yes, you should go racing. But I want to go back to your question because I figured out what they need to do.
Go on.
Make it accessible in America. I tried to watch Cheltenham, and you couldn't in America.
Right.
And so make it somehow, partner with somebody there, get a streamer, YouTube TV, anything.
Okay.
So that way
Bring
we
it
can
to
watch it.
channel.
Well, yeah.
in America?
Yeah, but you couldn't.
But you know how we
Grand National you can.
Grand National you can.
Crown Jewels Racing will have it
Yeah.
all over the world.
So
No,
what
and I
did you-
know that because Jane Motion, whose dad obviously trains horses, I remember when I was at Hughes in New York and we had the racing on all afternoon, and it was like, obviously she has like one of the things where you can stream racing TV or whatever, but they don't. But whereas like our country, like we have American racing on every single
it's on
night.
every evening.
Sky
And we have America racing, but I tried to get Cheltenham because I was like, he's here. I want to watch what he's doing.
But yeah, that is like the Cheltenham Festival and those big festivals should be.
wanna
on
be-
it.
Yeah, they should be.
Kind of thing.
But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut off.
No, it's
saying
great,
about-
and that's actually a great shout. And actually, I'm sure that everyone listening to that will now be ringing up American broadcasters, going, "Do you want Cheltenham?"
But with streamers now, it is so easy partner with the streamer. But yeah, I think
But
anyone,
for your fans watching it, what would you say? Come racing.
give it a fair shot. I think try it. You might enjoy it. Obviously, everything isn't for everyone, but I definitely never thought it was for me, and it 100% is. So I think just give it a shot. The grounds are beautiful. Give it a watch. Give it a go. Give it 3 goes. Sometimes you got to take a second to get into it. Vote for a horse that's your favorite in your own mind, right? Pick a horse, and that's back your own horse. That's even like a life saying, like you got to back your own horse, right? And so back your horse, and you will enjoy it. Obviously, horse racing is a massive thing for a reason because people enjoy it. So give it a try, and odds are you'll enjoy it.
If I was working for GVR or BHA, I'd just clip the last minute of this bit up and just play it.
Yeah, that's the
it.
commercial.
That's
much.
you'll be out of work soon.
You're in trouble.
No, never. He's too educated in it.
Yeah, he's too good at it, and
Yeah.
you'll obviously be at Aintree, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure you'll be promoting that as you say you're riding out, etc. But for those watching this who are thinking about coming to Aintree, what would you say to them?
Oh, just go, yeah. And if you can get a Thursday off, go for the Thursday. I was trying to tell some people the other day, like someone came up to me and goes, tell me why, like they say the best racing's like on the Tuesday or Wednesday or Cheltenham. And I said, because it's like you're guaranteed, like you put the best racing on the earlier days of the big festivals, when the midweeks are like, you're guaranteed to get numbers there because the horses attract big people who love racing, like racing fans. Those big races and those attractive races attract people to go. So go, get there on the Thursday if you can. I think Thursday of Aintree and Friday on Ladies' Day is just incredible.
Yeah.
It's a crazy, it's an experience you almost just need to have. I think Ladies' Day at Aintree is just one of like the coolest experiences because it's
everything,
so
isn't it?
wild.
Party, race, great sport, party.
Great sport
dressing up.
party, good weather as well. You always get good
It's sunny
decent weather.
there.
Eh?
I spent the Friday once. I did the morning show for Racing TV. I spent the afternoon in the Red Rum tent. It's a rave.
Yeah.
That's like Ibiza.
Right? So I've never seen anything
got the
like
festival
it. Right?
zone at
You've got
Aintree,
bars
incredible.
all around the side. You having a drink inside this tent. I basically didn't go outside. You've got dancers and fire and loads of stuff.
Yeah.
People on the stage dancing, and then
mental.
the race goes off, and they stop and they play the race, and you go, oh yeah, I've had a bet in this. And they watch it, and then you're like, oh well, we won or we didn't. Right, back we go, and then it's a rave again.
Genuinely, as someone who's never been to a race, obviously, I expected. I mean, you all dress so prim and proper, and the ladies in their hats, and the boys in their tails, and it's a whole thing.
Had an ascot, but yeah.
Oh, is that only asking?
Different for
Yeah, but
Okay, but
still,
still,
people will
same
be in
thing.
suits.
You're
and
so
stuff.
fancy. But I pictured it to be like you sit in your seat, you don't even eat a popcorn. Like I pictured it to be like Wimbledon, right, where it's like prim and proper.
No, so the end of
It's like a party.
Well,
It's a
when
baseball
you're in
game.
the top light tails, like you just said, there, even at the end of every day, at the end of Royal Ascot,
There's
it
a
is like a
sing-along.
massive sing along.
Yeah.
So
like
it's
people,
fun.
you're singing like absolute British classics, aren't you? Which everyone knows that is, and you.
Yeah.
When you go there, you'll honestly, it will blow your mind because you'll be there
When
going
is it this year?
June, if you can make it there.
Uh-oh.
But at Aintree, the
When in June?
middle of June.
Middle of June. What do you mean?
You might have something on.
I got
Should we end this with Chris and JoJo planning their diary?
No, it can't be over. It can't be over the cruise because the cruise, it couldn't be over that. It has to be before it or after.
That's an American thing, cruises, which one thing I discovered. If any of you been on a
No.
The cruise, we're doing a JoJo cruise on Royal Caribbean. So it's a big ship, and then there's like I'm performing on it, doing activities
wicked.
for fans. Yeah, it's very cool.
Are you?
Yeah.
Ascot's 16th to the 20th of June. Oh, someone's called.
Yeah, the cruise I think is the 13th through the 15th.
Oh, you go.
fine.
Perfect.
Oh, come on
We're
after.
coming to
back with a
after.
tan and
Perfect.
But where Tom's referring to at Aintree, I promise you it's like Ibiza, and he's
Yeah.
right. It goes music for 20 minutes, stop, race, music, and it's honestly the biggest
And we
vibe.
worked where we were on the platform.
Yeah.
When we
It's
did our
behind
social
us.
stable. It's behind us, and we can't even hear each other.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
stood
yeah.
this far apart. But that is what racing is. So fun like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I thought it would be the complete
Absolutely, yeah.
hello sir, how you doing? Like I thought it would be the complete
Yeah, but that's what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
And that's the point we're saying. Come racing, and it's
Yeah.
You need to experience something before.
We should do
See, you
stereotype.
think it's like that, but really racing's just a piss up in fancy dress.
yeah.
essentially what it is.
Jason, you need to hear this. We need to film my first race experience.
100%.
Like a mic'd up, find someone, you've
Yeah.
got this. Jason,
Okay.
run him.
Sold.
Done. That's going to happen now. You know
That would be interesting.
Okay, well, we've left with that. Thank you so much. I'm, as a friend of his for many years, for all of us, it's so good to see you as happy as you are. And I know you're a huge reason for that, JoJo. So lovely to meet you. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for coming on impromptu.
I was clearly very prepared.
You were unbelievable. Genuinely, you were
the
unreal.
most relaxed I've ever looked at a podcast.
It has been lovely to meet you. What are you doing?
I was going to say this is a very British. This is a teapot.
Yeah, that's
That is like to Americans, they're fascinated by teapots. Like that couldn't be more of a British thing.
This is the
in
worst.
America, we actually have them, but you use it more as like a decorative item.
Yeah.
You don't actually use it.
That's evidence that we do use it.
Sorry, continue with your.
Thank you both. I love you dearly, and I'm so happy you're happy. Right, we're off. This is what a way to end this week's Paddock. Like, subscribe, follow us at the Paddock UK. Any questions you've got, do get in touch. But from myself, Rishi, Tom, Chris, and the lovely JoJo, goodbye for now.
Bye, everyone.